This week on X-Trex, one dead stripper, one shoe owner, Jack the Ripper, I barely know her.
No, we're not doing it again. It's the memory loss episode. Welcome to X-Trex, a podcast where we introduce each other to our fandoms one episode at a time. I'm your host, Erin Cline, an X-Files spooky bitch.
And I'm your other host, Stella Cheeks, a slut for Star Trek the original series. Each podcast, we pick 2 episodes that fit a cinematic theme, watch them together, and then record our feelings.
Our theme this week is memory loss.
This week, I chose the Season 2 episode Wolf in the Fold, a.k.a. the episode where Scotty loses his memory and is framed for murder by Piglet, a.k.a. Jack the Ripper. But hey, at least we get good strip club etiquette from Captain Kirk and some wild bitchy sass from Spock. Also stimulants. I don't know, man. It fit the theme. Leave me alone.
They all have to get in there somewhere. We have to remember.
Yeah.
Of the X-Files, we're doing an unusual one. For the most part, people may not even remember. It's Season 9's John Doe. You know, the one where John Doggett wakes up in a Mexican, warehouse or whatever and can't remember how he got there. Yeah, if you don't remember this one, you should definitely watch it, actually, since it is one of the rare, very good ones from this season and, arguably one of the worst seasons of the series. Anyway, I also think this is the first time we've seen John Doggett episodes since we did Sunshine Days back in Season 1 of X-Trex, which I was like, hell, yeah, I want to watch some more John Doggett. I remember that you liked him, so I was like, all right, I want to fit in at least one more.
Dislike Reyes.
Girl.
Also, you barely remember this episode. There's something that happened and you were like, I don't fucking remember this episode.
I don't remember hardly anything about this. Did I watch this before we watched it right now? No, of course I did not. Why would I do that?
Method acting.
I like to be as surprised as you are. That's what makes it fun.
All right.
All right, are you ready for Dig It In There, Mr. Spock?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it!
I've invited her to join us at the table. I thought you might like to meet her.
Now, that's what I call a real captain. Always thinking of his men.
And now for a quick-ish episode summary. This episode opens in a nightclub on Argelius 2, a planet known for its hedonistic society. In the nightclub, there's a sexy belly dancer absolutely crushing it to the delight of her enraptured audience, an audience that includes Captain Kirk, Bones, and Scotty. Kirk, a down bitch who understands strip club etiquette, has bought Scotty a lap dance. You see, Scotty was recently in a ship accident that almost killed him, and Bones, a medical doctor, is worried that since the accident was caused by a woman, that good old Scotty now will hate all women. That's just science. And naturally, Kirk's prescription is a pleasure planet. Sex magic. It's medicine now. But bad news, because Scotty never gets that lap dance. Lap dance is also a colloquial phrase for walking in the fog sensually. It's how they do it in Scotland. Don't ask questions. Because the woman has been murdered. Stabbed like a bunch of times. And Scotty is there with a knife in his hands. Dun, dun, dun. Scotty says he has no memory of the murder, but he was holding the bloody knife, so Kirk, ever the diplomat, is in quite a pickle. But never fear, Mr. Heinges is here. An administrator from Rigel 4, because these Argelians are too horny or whatever to do their own police work. But hey, they are just horny enough to do some empathetic magic to determine guilt. They just have to prep for it or whatever. So while they all wait for the prefect's wife, Cybo, to prepare to touch Scotty's emotions, they decide to leave Scotty alone with another lady, Lieutenant Karen Tracy, and her psycho tricorder, because that's a thing. But hey, remember, Scotty hates women. And Karen ends up super dead. And Scotty looks very guilty, but he can't remember again. Don't worry. Cybo is ready for an empathetic contact ritual, so they'll know the truth soon. They all sit in a seance circle, holding hands, while Cybo does her thing. After a moment, she begins to speak of a monstrous, terrible evil, a hunger that never dies, which has been named Kesla, Baratus, Red Jack. But then the altar lights go out and Cybo screams, and wouldn't you know it, when the lights come on, Scotty's holding Cybo's dead body with a knife in her back. And the doors were all closed, so it had to be somebody in the room. It had to be Scotty. But this time he remembers, and he remembers not fucking doing it. So everyone beams back aboard the Enterprise, much to Spock's chagrin, to use the Psycho Tricorder once again, but in a room full of men and one lady, which seems like a wild choice. Like, why would you put this woman in a room full of men where one of them is a potential, lady killer? Why? That's a terrible choice. Aren't you supposed to be, smart Starfleet? Get it together. After a pretty long and average lie detector scene, Jarvis reminds Jarvis, the prefect of the planet, I did not say his name before. Jarvis reminds everyone about the names his wife said during the seance. Names like Red Jack and Hunger That Never Dies. And wouldn't you know it, the computer finds that Red Jack means Red Jack, aka fucking Jack the Ripper. Kirk and Crew are like, Jack the Ripper? No, JK, unless. And they start to speculate on an entity that could travel through space that fucking hates women because they're so like easily scared or some misogynistic spaceship. Meanwhile, Hyngus keeps trying to dissuade everyone from this line of thought just in time for the computer to spit out the name Baratus, aka a serial killer on Rigel 4, the very planet that Hyngus is from. And wouldn't you know it, he's Jack the Ripper, except psych, that's just a dead body now. He's the fucking Enterprise. But joke's on you, Jack, because the Enterprise crew has 3 weapons: math, stimulants, and a transporter set to maximum dispersion. Too bad everybody's too high or too gay to celebrate back on the strip club. Anyway, space laughter. I don't know. The episode falls apart very quickly, and my summary was just, I was done. And what did you think of this episode?
What a mess.
The summary or this episode?
Because this episode's a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Somebody got fucking drunk in the 60s, or somebody was high on stimulants and was like, I got it. Fucking Jack the Ripper in space.
You guys said to me, and you paused it, and we're like, guess. Guess who the murderer is. You'll never guess. And you were right.
Yeah, you were like, I don't know. She's having an affair with this guy, and maybe it's his brother. And we were like, that's such a boring answer. It's obviously not that.
It's obviously this space ghost who has always been a ghost. Just
He's
to
not
be
a
clear.
ghost. He's an entity, an immortal entity that like...
They can
but
inhabit
also,
bodies.
They keep saying that he's an alien, but they like pretty clearly... like find out that he like came from Earth. He was on Earth for a long time, and then he hitched a ride via rocket ships or whatever.
I felt like that was the most confusing thing, is that there's so much exposition and talking that is fucking boring and unclear. Like,
You made us pause it several times because you were like,
it was
what
so
happened?
confusing. Like, they're talking about Scotty being injured and him having a concussion, which makes him hate women, but he gotta go fuck this crowd in the fog or whatever.
No,
like,
he didn't have the concussion. He had the concussion afterwards.
After?
Yeah. He exploded
And then
or
the
whatever.
reason they were on the
No.
planet is because of the
He
concussion.
got into an accident, and the accident was caused by a woman. So Bones was naturally,
So there
obviously,
wasn't already a brain injury. Bones was just like,
he was injured.
Definitely gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
And
so
Bones-
he was injured, but
he was
not
injured, heavily injured. And Bones was like, well, a lady did it, so he probably hates every woman now. And Kirk was like, oh, sure, that sounds normal. Let's go get him a lap dance. And Scotty in the club was like pretty fucking chill. Just
He's having a
normal,
great time.
Regular
Having a great
Scotty.
time. Yeah.
And Bones was like, this lap dance better fucking cure him. And then he gets a concussion when the belly dancer Kara, I think, is attacked. And that's why Bones is like, well, maybe the concussion gave him amnesia or some shit.
Okay, I see. I thought he kind of.
I think now I'm second guessing it.
I thought that he had already undergone some kind of head injury, and
Maybe
that was.
they just say that he got like there was an accident caused by a female.
Yeah, I thought that they were saying that had caused the concussion, because I don't really understand when he would have gotten a concussion standing up against the wall with a knife. Like, they didn't find him on the
maybe
ground.
you're right. But also, I'm confused now. It doesn't matter.
It's fucking confusing.
What?
Yes.
I'll throw another wrench into this bitch.
Oh, Jesus.
Where at any point does Scotty overtly express any angst or upsetness towards women?
Zero
That's
times.
why
None of
I-
this needed to happen.
Yeah, that's why I assumed he like already had a head injury, and they were like, okay, we're worried that this is going to happen because he already has a brain problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that is a real thing. You can get like a brain injury
Yeah.
so much that it like changes your personality.
It happens with a lot of serial killers, actually. Like, there's usually an inciting incident where, as like a child, they're injured, and then, or in like young adulthood, they're injured, and it like completely changes your personality, and you can do things that you would never have done before. Like, that actually happens quite a lot. But like, first of all, Scotty's like a man in his 40s. Very clear, not 22 years old. Really confirmed that in this episode.
That's how you know he was telling the truth.
Yeah, this was the longest an episode has ever felt, which
That
was
is saying
so
something.
strange, but it was just so chaotic. I felt like it was all, there were parts of it I actually did genuinely like find funny and enjoy.
Yeah, Spock.
I mean, Spock, yes. Some Kirk, Bones a little bit, even like Scotty, I thought was doing a great
Sulu,
job. Yeah,
fucking high
Sulu.
off his ass.
Sulu's job was to show up, quip, be high, and then just be like, "What's up, everybody?" Like,
Super
great.
high, still driving the Enterprise.
Yes, they were like, just put it in cruise control. Just yeah, it's fine. Yeah, fine. Wee! I'll just spin in my chair for 5 hours.
Scotty's just doing like loop de loops, and then everybody fucking hold on. I learned this trick. I've always wanted to do this.
Yeah. Spock's the only one. He's just strapped himself to his bed, like, ugh, fun.
Spock and Kirk are the only ones that are not high.
Yeah, and they went to bed at 9:30.
Also, technically, Jarvis never got high because before he could get a stimulant, he got Jack the Ripper or whatever, like jumped in his body, and then Spock nerve pinched him. So he never got a stimulant either. So
Just chilling. Wishing
the
everybody
three
else
of
be
them.
high.
Well, I don't know how long the nerve pinch lasts. So presumably a while. So he's just, chilling.
Yeah, this episode was chaotic. I liked the set design of the Pleasure Planet a lot. I liked all the background acting that was happening there.
Everybody's
Excellent.
eating grapes and shit.
The pillows, lounging, very luxurious, very 60s views the future. I really liked that. I thought the costume designs in this were good. I went back and forth on the weird magic
Her name's
empath
Cybo.
ladies. Yes, Cybo. I generally enjoyed her out. In the end, I came out with, I really enjoyed her weird series of capes.
It's funny because, okay, so this episode on one hand is like super misogynistic, right? Like, obviously, like, if one woman does something bad to you, you shouldn't hate all women. That's like not
Why
good.
would that be your reflex?
Why? What the hell is that? Also, the whole like it is an episode about women getting murdered.
Right, yeah.
Spock's out here being like, yeah, women, they are so full of fear. Like, not great. But I do, and I know I said it a bunch in the episode summary and stuff, but like I do specifically pre the murder enjoy the strip club or the dance club, whatever. Like I think
That dance at the beginning goes on a long time.
I mean, it will not surprise you to know that she's an actual belly dancer.
Yeah, clearly.
She choreographed her own stuff. Like all of that was all her, which I think is awesome. They tried to put a bunch of like makeup on her and make her look really like alien with like feathers and stuff. And the director kept hating it and was like, no. And then one day she just showed up on set with no makeup on. He was like, perfect, beautiful. And she was like, just like regular, okay, like fine. And then of course you notice this because her little belly button had like gemstones in it or whatever, because like we can't be showing belly buttons on TV.
Insane. A really long shot. It really felt like they
Because
were
it's
like
belly dancing. You have to be,
Yes, exactly. And it really felt like they were like, we dare you. We dare you to tell us that this can't be done. Like it was aggressive and I liked it. I thought it was great. And it really went on a long time.
It sure did. But yeah, she ruled. Like she did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it does. Like she gets murdered right away. Like the whole
Every woman you
inciting
meet,
incident.
it's like, oh,
except for that one at the
Tracy.
end who they put her in the room, which is still a wild choice. Like you have other crewmen.
She
You
had
do
very high hair.
No, you could have made a man take notes. Like she did not need to be in here. But then she's super fucking high by the time Jack the Ripper puts a knife to her throat, and she's like, "Fuck, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me." So she lives. She lives, and the women on the bridge we see, and the women like walking around the hallway we see live. But Kara, the belly dancer, Karen, the medical psycho tricorder lady, and
Lieutenant
then
Tracy.
yeah, and then the prefect's wife, Cybo, they all die. So like obviously very misogynistic. But I do love the like, you know, in the Next Generation specifically, they talk about pleasure planets all the time. Like that is a very common thing in in Star Trek and whatever. And it's really established in this episode that this is a planet where that is their culture. They're a hedonistic society. Their law is love. Like, they are DTF, and that is like culturally appropriate. And I don't think it's inappropriate for like the impetus behind it to be like, hey, just so you don't hate women, that sucks. But like going to a strip club with your like high level crew and like hanging out and like buying your buddy a lap dance, I think it's fucking rad. I really like that. And I know some other people like think that it's very misogynist. Why would a captain do it? And first of all, like, this is his not second, it's his Scotty is his third in command. Like,
Yeah.
you can buy your third in command a lap dance. It's not ethically sus to me.
Yeah, you're close enough in rank, like, who else is going to do that for
Right.
them? So it feels like more appropriate for them to be doing that. It's like, you're all the C-suite guys.
Right.
Of course you're doing this
You're
shit together.
participating in the culture. You're both like from a diplomatic standpoint, because this is their culture, and from a financial and like tourist standpoint. And Scotty was like really great. And it's not his fault. He didn't kill her. Jack the Ripper killed her. I don't know. I just think like there's a lot of stuff to be like one of the quotes I pulled out is from Jeff Bond, who I don't remember who this dude is, but I just thought it was funny. He wrote, if you're planning on introducing your feminist girlfriend to Star Trek, Wolf in the Fold might not be the best starter episode. That was a hilarious line. Absolutely true. 100%. All of the misogyny, like really, really not good. But I disagree that the like club part shouldn't be wrapped up in the same thing. I think
you have to like have anti-sex worker sentiments in order to feel like this is inherently unfeminist. Like, I don't think that that's true at all, especially since she clearly has a lot of agency.
Right.
And it never feels gross.
No.
Like, it doesn't feel like they're not like throwing shit at her.
the
or
fucking president or prefect of the planet is like, yeah, I come to this fucking club all the time.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
give a fuck. This club rules.
yeah, like it never feels like she's like in a gross subordinate role
Right.
to them. Like, she's working, and that's fine. And that, yeah,
So I
it's
just
weird
think
to classify that in the same level of misogyny as the
the
other
rest
parts
of the episode, like
of the episode.
this is
yeah,
a very misogynistic episode, but that part is not. They're actually like very respectful and great. Like when everybody's super high at the end, and Kirk's like, "I'm not taking you
Yeah.
really high people to a club where you're gonna be like really fucking disrespectful. I'm not fucking doing that." And you're your bitch ass is super gay. You do not want to go to this club, and I'm not a fucking creepo. I'm not going by myself. So I guess we're all just hanging out here. Like all good choices, Captain Kirk.
I feel like there are times in his life where Captain Kirk would have gone to the strip club
Yeah,
alone.
when he was like 25 or whatever. He's
Yeah.
like 34 now, Erin.
oh, he's okay.
Sorry, he might be 35 now. It's season 2. He's got ethics and stuff now.
Famously, what happens in your 30s? You're like, you know what? I need to get into ethics.
Anyways, there are a lot of things I hate about this, but it's also so batshit insane that like I don't hate watching this episode. It makes me laugh.
It feels like there are just like a bunch of wild twists and turns. Like, having to go back up to the ship and them explaining why that was happening was very difficult to follow. And then also, like, the trial scene goes on a really long time.
Yeah.
A super long
And
time.
they make it seem like this machine is like mapping his memories and stuff, but it's like just like a lie detector. It's just a
sort of.
lie
It's like a
detector.
supercomputer and a lie detector. So it's like a lie detector that can then like check an encyclopedia for you.
It's fucking dumb.
Which is, I guess, nice. It's nice to be like, well, this is a lie. And also you referenced this serial killer from like 200 years ago. Like, wait, what?
They go up immediately from no to maybe. It's like full kombucha girl in that fucking Enterprise like conference room. Like no, unless maybe no, yeah. I don't know. I like don't have a lot to say about this episode.
That's all right.
Oh, one important thing from this episode is that it is established in this episode that Starfleet members on a planet are like subject to the laws of the planet, which
Yeah.
is a
Kirk was insistent about
Right.
that point.
which is a very like interesting and important development for the rest of like the universe and series, because like obviously that sets a precedent for
yeah.
everything else. There's literally an episode in TNG where like somebody walks on grass and they're like, you gotta fucking die, you walked on the grass. Like, so this is an important like especially in terms of like Prime Directive and all that stuff. So even though it is the Jack the Ripper episode, it does establish two pretty important things. Like one, Kirk has got great club etiquette, and two, you're subject to these laws. So don't step on the grass and don't kill a sex worker. These are the two rules.
I kind of wish that we had found out what the punishments were.
Death. Oh, well, there was death, but then there was like the horrible. Yeah, you're right.
He said something that the prefect said, how could any man do this? When he was talking about murder, like, oh, these urges, why would you do such a thing? And then like 2 seconds later, it was like you'd be subject to the ancient punishments, as horrible and barbaric as they may be. Like, wait a minute, what are they? And second of all, what? So I have a lot of questions about what the horrific punishments may have been. I don't know.
I don't know. Pokers.
Yeah.
Hot pokers.
Flayed.
You know, the classics.
Iron Maiden, just for your penis. It's a pleasure planet.
People pay for that. That costs extra. I did find out that this one got the James Bliss treatment, so there is like a novelization or a short story about it.
Oh, so I can have my questions answered about the barbaric punishments?
Maybe.
Ooh.
Also, there are sequels sort of this story in the DC Comics, Wolf on the Prowl and Wolf at the Door, and in a Wildstorm one. It's a TNG one called Embrace the Wolf. So I guess Jack the Ripper does not disperse into space, and he comes fucking back, I guess. I don't know. I have the DC ones, so I'll have to like pull them out. And we shall see.
Great. I look forward to it. The episode I most want follow-up on is Jack the Ripper is a ghost in space.
An alien entity.
A ghost.
Not a ghost.
He possesses people. He's invisible. He's a ghost. Don't bullshit me.
He's a fucking ghost.
I want a ghost when I see one.
All right, Dean, relax. Anyways, that's all I gotta say about this episode. You got anything else to say about this episode?
Sure don't.
You know what? I could use some stimulants that would blow up a mountain.
Yeah, I didn't really talk about that.
Their solution was, this thing feeds on fear? Everybody get high. Except for Spock, because he can control his emotions. And Kirk, because presumably he's not afraid of Jack the Ripper.
So what's he going to do? Kill me? Absolutely not.
Die in the Enterprise? That's the goal.
Ric Flair. So I'm trying to die in this ship. Everyone's like, no, stop trying to die in the ship. So I'm gonna do it.
Man, when you see some of the later movies, she does have big Ric Flair energy.
Oh, I'm aware. I know who William Shatner is.
Oh, I just met Kirk, but yeah.
It's like saying,
don't you
I
dare.
just met Mulder.
No. William Shatner wishes he was Captain Kirk.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I thought those Bones moments were really good. To jump ahead a little bit, that might be the most Star Trek moment of that one. Bones was just like, hell yeah, I got some stimulants. Everybody get in line.
Just going around the ship, poking everybody in the
he
fucking
just has like
hyposphere.
an emergency button that anytime he hits a panel like twice, the whole ship just gets the light up. And they all step out, and he's just like, wah! And just runs down.
There was some great background acting in this whole episode. Everybody on stimulants, but also the Pleasure Planet. Also, there's that scene on the Pleasure Planet where it's after the second woman is killed and Scotty's like passed out and they try and give him like a shot of something to like wake him up. And Bones is like, whoa, 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 whoa. What the fuck is that? And they're like, oh, it's just like an ancient stimulant. He's like, I'll be the fucking stimulant. Add to my repertoire.
Right.
Repertoire, as we say in Georgia.
Can this tranquilize an active volcano? No, not interested. Oh, classic Bones.
Classic Bones. Misdiagnosing misogyny and giving everybody stimulants.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, that's it. I think.
That's it.
That's it.
Synopsis showdown.
All right.
Scotty gets framed outside a strip club by the alien entity known as Jack the Ripper. Exasperated Spock sigh. That's all I got. I couldn't do it. This one really hurt my brain.
Jack the Ripper, who has always been a ghost, comes to a pleasure planet, works as a diplomat, inhabits the ship, and then is drugged up as a corpse and escapes into the universe. Also, there are drugs. This episode is insane.
Sometimes synopsis showdown is really hard.
Yeah. This was insane. This is a crazy episode.
Jack the Ripper in space.
Didn't they not want to do Space Ghosts? Wasn't like Ghosts a thing they specifically
yeah, but that's
didn't want
way
to
back in season 1. Also, they never say ghosts. You are really about this ghost. They're alien entities.
They're alien entities that no one can see, that they form into an entity.
Oh, when it got in the computer, it was like, whoa, fun colors, lava lamp, whoa.
We've already done Synopsis
Colorful
Showdown. This conversation
smoke.
isn't canon.
Get out of here. Are you ready for Monica? It's me. I think. I guess it should have been
in this episode.
Doggett, it's me. I'm Monica. You're Doggett. Do you know who you are?
You have a son. Oh no! Wait, don't remember you have a son.
No, you do not technically have a son. Anyways, get in the bus. Are you ready for that segment?
I am ready.
The segment that we do every time, get in the bus. If we have other John Doggett episodes, the segment is now called Get in the Bus.
We need more Doggett episodes now because I absolutely want to revisit Get in the Bus. It's so fucking good.
Are you ready for Get in the Bus?
I am ready for Get in the Bus.
What is your name? I don't know.
All right, here we go. Episode summary I wrote weeks ago. Let's all learn this together.
Professional.
Yeah, you know me. That's my middle name. John Doggett wakes up to some dude trying to steal his shoe. He runs into the street after him and realizes while talking to 2 Mexican policemen that he doesn't have any identification on him and can't remember his name or anything at all about his identity. When he's taken to jail, because naturally that's what you do with someone who has no ID on them and experiencing some sort of memory crisis, a fellow jailed man offers to bail him out under the condition that Doggett help him perform his criminal tasks, quote unquote. That's literally what the synopsis said online. Yeah, I'm taking that. When Doggett refuses to actually do the crimes, the guy's friend is like, well, I'll have to pull a gun on you. Psych, just kidding. Now Doggett has a gun. Probably relevant information about his identity, actually. Doggett goes out into the warehouse to try to find clues about his identity, all the while having flashbacks about his wife and murdered son, who he cannot remember. Meanwhile, in D.C., Skinner and Scully are looking for Doggett and find video of him crossing into the Mexican border. Kirsch is like, well, fuck him then. Looks like he went willingly. Bye-bye. Back in Mexico, Doggett is trying to phone up a Marine Corps office because he's discovered he has a tattoo and hoping that his military tattoo will help him figure out who he is. But before he can get connected, he sees some cops and he hoofs it. Scully traces John's call and sends Lady Mulder Monica Reyes off to Mexico to find him with her empath powers or what the fuck ever. It is revealed that Caballero, an enforcer for the local drug cartel and Mexican smoking man, is a memory vampire who can erase the memory of anyone who poses a threat to the cartel. Monica finds John and basically immediately forces him to get into a gunfight with the Mexican police. Are they mind controlled or just corrupt? Who knows? During all of this, Monica is also trying to convince John that he does in fact know her and finally gets him to remember his son. Who is dead and has been murdered. Anyway, guess what, bitches? It's Walter Skinner. And he's got the Mexican feds with him. You're welcome, everybody. Doggett has a nice cry and says he's thankful to have all of his memories back, even the bad ones, as long as he remembers the good ones. Anyway, men have feelings, the end. What'd you think of this episode?
It didn't feel like an X-Files episode.
No,
It
doesn't.
just feels like an episode of television. like a regular old like cop drama.
By the time you get hit with the memory vampire, you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Wibbly wobbly magic bullshit. Got it. But it doesn't feel like an X-Files episode really until the episode. And then you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like the memory loss. You're like, okay, this could be so many things.
Yeah.
And it feels like gritty and real enough. And like the idea is that it does feel very gritty and very real. Like you really don't see it coming. That it's a fucking memory vampire. It's such an X-Files twist that it's like,
By X-Files twist, you mean that it makes no sense?
it's insane. It's a thing that does not exist. That they have created for this. I assume I've never ever heard of a Mexican memory vampire who
Yeah.
works for the cartel. Like, it's fucking crazy.
Maybe it's some kind of myth that we don't know.
Perhaps that's your
We should ask Monica because she knows all of Mexico.
born and raised there. No accent though, just to be clear.
yeah. And she knows the whole country because she was there
From
she was
birth.
raised from birth.
From
So
birth.
She knows everything about the whole country.
Yeah,
So
that's
she
how
can.
it works. That's how you learn things. You observe them through osmosis by your parents being, I don't know, American diplomats or whatever. Is this the first time you've seen? No, she was in Sunshine Days.
Yeah.
She like awkwardly holds hands with John Doggett at the end of that one.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's not a great character.
Not a great actress. Not great across the board.
I don't mind her as an actress, but like I don't care for her. She's not great.
Yeah.
When I see her, I'm like, hey, it's the lady from the X-Files. But also, like, you're only on season 9 for a reason.
Yeah.
That's actually not true. She is in season 10. That is so confusing, though.
Doesn't she have like don't they like totally just like destroy her character and they're like, this lady, fuck that lady.
Yes, and it like her character sucks, but then it's just like, why did you even do this to this character? It's very fucking stupid. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, this episode was interesting. The guy that plays Doggett is a good actor.
Robert Patrick, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very good in this.
It is an interesting, like, if you wake up with no memory, like, what do you do, right? And it is clever of him, like, finding his tattoo and stuff. I don't know how you just call the Marines.
Right.
Like,
they put you on hold.
hi,
and
the
you're like,
Marines.
I'm a cop. No, I don't have my badge number. Can you just trust
Also,
me?
yeah, there's a real long pause between me saying my name. Detective.
Detective.
And they're like, yep, that sounds totally normal. Anyways.
You're in Mexico. You must have been distracted by knives or whatever.
You know. Yeah, so whatever. We were joking though. It's like, what if, could you imagine like one of us who are covered in tattoos and like silly ass tattoos specifically, and getting amnesia and being like, God, what the fuck? What the fuck is on me?
Oh my God. It's so colorful. What does it mean?
What does any of this gobbledygook mean?
Right? Just the puzzle to work backwards. Like, why did I choose this?
Yeah, the memento for our lives is like, what the fuck?
Oh.
Somebody's overcompensating. It's just a deep read on both me and you.
Excellent. Good job. Oh.
Also, this timeline makes exactly zero sense. It's like day 1, nothing really happens. Day 2, nothing happens. 8 days, nothing happens. Day 12, everything happens in day 12.
Yeah.
Unrealistic timeline.
You said and I wrote down, day 12 was busy. Yeah, I don't really even realize it while it's happening until it gets to day 13 and you're like, whoa. Everything else took 5 minutes. That took 27 minutes.
Scully literally goes from like DC to Texas, and Monica goes from Texas to DC in one day. Or no, Texas to Mexico after waiting for Scully to get there from DC.
Yes.
And it's still daytime this whole time.
Uh-huh. Like, man,
12, man.
There's a lot going on.
Lots
There's
happening.
time zones. There's a lot happening.
Skinner gets down there.
Skinner just has a private plane and is like, hey, I'm you know.
Well, he knows a guy. He knows a guy who has a
Right,
private
exactly.
plane.
He's like, I'm
Just like he knows the guy who's just a sniper in the bushes.
Skinner is always ready. You need a cop to show up and be really scary at a federal level. Skinner is there. He is ready for you.
Also,
and he
he's
is
the one
ready
that
to
took
provide.
the memory vampire down because he was like, I can't get away with it, bitch. You bet. I would pay $1,000 to see Walter Skinner walk up to like a memory vampire or somebody who has like compulsion and go, bet. Somebody drop me that, please. It's a vampire trying to do compulsion and no.
I love that season 3 of X Tracks we've got too. Walter Skinny
Skinny legend, Walter Skinner.
Skinny jeans legend, Walter Skinner.
Walter Skinner cannot be whammy. I love it.
There are not a lot of like hard and fast facts about him.
Oh, okay. Now that so when you saw Sunshine Days, that was way back in season 1 when you had seen very little of the X-Files.
Yeah, what was the theme for that?
Underrated. Yeah. So at the time, you saw these opening credits then, but didn't really understand what you were seeing.
They are absolutely they're trash.
Atrocious. Okay.
Well, also the like film quality of this season, or at least this episode, is like very bad. I assume the weird era, like post film, it is digital, but it's like new digital that sucks, and like now we have fancy cameras and fancy TVs.
Yeah, and this one too, especially the director of photography, Bill wrote, they shot outdoors at like a really high exposure rate, so it's washed out on purpose, but like you're saying, the quality of the technology doesn't translate as well.
Yeah,
like
it both looks on purpose and not on purpose at the same time.
Exactly. Like it's clear that the direction is there, and I think that the like contrast between like the cleanness of DC and the like memories having this like very light feeling, and then especially the like flashback Doggett's face to him like fucked up in Mexico.
The makeup team
incredible.
deserves an Emmy for
So
making
good.
him look fucked up.
So good. Such good makeup. And X-Files definitely has a tendency to make that kind of makeup look very cartoony. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a purposeful choice most of the time.
That one looks super realistic.
It was great. They did a very good job of making him look just absolutely fucked up.
There's one scene where it's not like, it's pre him getting the shit beat out of him, and it's just him looking like tired, and his like eyes are like actual, like the under eyes like actually purple, and like
it's very effective. They do a very good, and like the unshaven like choppy beard. It's really good. I think they do a very good job with him in this, and he like leans into the look too in a way. It's not.
Well, he's also like a very like skinny is not the right word, but he's like a wiry looking dude.
Yeah,
so like the way,
trim.
The way that they age him like exacerbates that in like a negative way, which is positive.
Yes, yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that is a very strong part of this episode. The bus crash scene was filmed so slowly that Vince Gilligan said, you could stand there and eat a ham sandwich while you watched it. It ran so slow because they sped up the cameras and they like placed them in weird directions, so it made it look like the bus was going super fast, and they were literally just like beep, 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 backing it up.
Yeah, because they had to flip the bus.
Yeah, they put a ramp there that they just like
get in the bus,
slowly flipped it over.
Took the bus over.
It's mostly mirrors that they use in order to make it look like it's flipping over.
Cool.
Which is crazy, but awesome. Yeah, there's the person who directed this. It's a first-time director, which happens constantly on the X-Files because there are like 300 episodes of this.
Yeah, that happens a lot on TV.
Yeah, like it's a good opportunity for people to experiment as a director. Michelle McLaren is her name. She's a co-executive on the show. And she said she learned from watching Kim Manners' work and the way that he like visualized the direction and then like worked backwards in how to like make that happen. So like the opposite of Chris Carter, basically, is what I'm saying. The like Mexican hotel apartment that Doggett is living in, that's Mulder's apartment. They knew that Mulder was never coming back, and so they completely deconstructed his set and then repurposed it for this.
Sad. He does come back. But not to that apartment, I guess.
Sort of, yeah. He never goes back to that apartment. He doesn't come back until the series finale, the end of this season. He's only in the one episode at the or two. It's technically 1 2-part episode. We'll watch it later. It's not good. And then it's the movie. It's not very good. Anyway, it's we're firmly no Mulder at this point. And like I feel like people kind of thought eventually he was going to come back, and he just did not until the series finale. He very dramatically steps off of a helicopter. It's like, I'm back,
Surprise,
motherfuckers.
bitches!
Anyway, I'm in jail now. Yeah, that's I don't have a ton to say about this episode either. It's season 9, so there's not like a ton of writing about it. People aren't like jazzed about it. Although the reception for this is really positive. This is like one of the rare ones in season 9 that people were like, this is actually quite a good episode. And I think it's because it is very different, and it doesn't, I think you nail it when you say that it doesn't feel like an X-Files episode.
Right.
And I think at this point, people wanted that because they were so tired of, please replace Mulder, please replace Scully, and people were just over it. And so it was nice almost to see a not X-Files X-File that like does have an X-Files twist at the end, but is very different from, you would never see Mulder and Scully do this. And that I think works for...
Mulder would walk in and be like, that's a memory vampire. I know what you are. He would whip out his files and be like, so, actually.
Yeah, you at the end were like, why doesn't Skinner just arrest him? It's like, he worked with Mulder a long time. He knows he's got to have the speech, he's got to do the thing, got to accuse him of being some kind of mythical creature, whatever. Give him 5 minutes and then we'll arrest him. I know the shtick already. Yeah, that's some quotes about how it's fine. But, you know, it's fine. I like this episode. When I'm doing a rewatch and it comes up, I'm like, that's right. This episode is really good. Everything else is not great. Season 9 is... I'm a season 8 apologist. I think there's a lot of good stuff in season 8. There are like 4 good episodes in season 9. It's just not very good at all.
Yeah. When a show runs for a long time, there are seasons that are unspeakable.
What's that, season 6 of Supernatural?
For me, yeah. A lot of people don't. A lot of people think it's 7, which I think 7's pretty good, actually. Season 6 is just them throwing everything at the wall because they're like, fuck, we didn't know we had to keep doing this. Fuck. Because they wrap it up with a bow at the end of season 5, and then they're fucking back, and they're like, yeah, fuck.
Yep, that's exactly what happened season 9. Season 8, they like, that could have been the end. They really could have wrapped it up. It could have been a little ambiguous for like room for a movie, and they just
kept on going. But like season 6 does have 1 or 2 of like crowd favorite episodes, but like it's just surrounded by like the big bad and the overarching plot and stuff in season 6 is, and the way that it ends is like absolutely nonsensical. It's like you build this monster up for a whole season and then like that's it. Also, they do fucking daddy real dirty in that one. Like, Mitch Pileggi gets done dirty.
You were just talking about season 9. Like, bro, it's... I don't even know. You're going to forget this, but, like, there's a whole super soldier thing that gets built up over season 9. Lucy Lawless is there. And Carrie Ells, who gets involved with Monica. It's like a whole fucking thing.
Are they with or without accents for both of them?
Both without.
Bummer.
It's a whole fucking thing. Yeah, it's wild. And then at the end of season 9, Mulder goes to prison. And that's how they solve the super soldiers. Also, the smoking man burns down to his bones. But then comes back in season 2.
You know, normal stuff.
Anyway, sorry. It's a
stuff.
huge tangent. Anyway, all of that to say I don't have a lot to say about this episode.
Synopsis showdown.
All right, let's do it. Doggett gets his memory stolen by a Mexican cigarette-smoking memory vampire man, but his love for his son helps defeat the cartel. Also, Skinner rolls up with Los Federales.
Doggett gets whammied and has a whole John Proctor Crucible journey in Mexico, but without the fun adultery, presumably.
We don't know what he did.
Yeah, you know, he doesn't know what he did. Everybody go read the Crucible to understand this joke. Are you ready for Deep Throat Submission Logs?
Nestor just rolls up. I have a lot of things to say about it. Yes, all right.
I wonder who it is we're not supposed to be afraid of.
Starting with The Wolf in the Fold, this was directed by Joseph Pevney. Of course, this was written by Robert Bloch, who we've talked about before, but it actually wasn't written as a Star Trek episode. It was originally written for a TV show called Thriller in 1961. The episode was called Yours Truly, Jack the Ripper. I guess they repurposed it into this because he thought it was a good enough idea. There have been a bunch of like Jack the Ripper is a elemental ghost being or whatever after this as well in other media.
Dumb.
You were talking about the costumes in the bar scene, and a lot of them are, of course, reused from previous Trek. We see the turtleneck uniforms from The Cage. Mm-hmm. We see the silver cadet uniforms that we saw Finnegan wear and his stunt double in Shore Leave. And also one bar patron is wearing the Commissioner Ferris costume from the Galileo 7. Also, this is the first episode of the second season to completely utilize stock music, largely from Gerald Fried's scores for Cat's Paw, Friday's Child, and Finnegan's Jig from Shore Leave can also be heard. So we have a reused script, reused costumes, and a reused soundtrack. This shit is a budget saver.
Wild.
Scotty, in the TNG episode Relics, which is the Old Sad Scotty episode, he refers to the events in this of him getting into a wee bit of trouble in our Jealous 2.
Sidebar, if you want good, like, Scotty and then, like, updated timeline shit, y'all should be reading the new IDW Star Trek comics because because that episode is Sad Scotty, right? And then they're like, fuck, Scotty's back. Let's make him not fucking sad and make him, like, a valuable member of Starfleet again. And it fucking rolls.
So speaking of comics, I actually looked up the plot of all of the comics off of this, so I can briefly break those down. A Wolf on the Prowl and A Wolf at the Door, the DC Comics, that's a part 1 and 2. The Excelsior goes back to the Argelian system, is boarded by Jack the Ripper, who begins killing and terrorizing the ship's personnel. A falsified message from an admiral claims that Kirk has broken the Prime Directive on Enoch 4. The crew investigates. They found that the Enochians all just worship Space Jack the Ripper now, and so the whole population attacks the ship. And then Nancy Bryce is possessed by Jack the Ripper and stabs Chekhov. Then Savick manages to sedate Bryce.
So this is like movie era?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. Jack the Ripper emerges from Savick's body.
Okay, Kirstie Alley Savick?
It looks a lot like Kirstie.
Second
It looks a
Savick?
lot like Kirstie Alley Savick.
Okay. Second Savick is better.
Yeah, I know, but like, yeah. Richardson sees that Chekhov is still alive. McCoy hastily puts him in stasis until he can be brought in for surgery. Jack the Ripper terrorizes the landing party, first through Kirk's communicator and then getting more of the population to try and kill them. Scott then is able to beam up the landing party, and then Space Jack the Ripper uses the whole population of the planet to become a gigantic being and fist fight the ship. Scott triggers a warp engine imbalance to form a wormhole, and they trap it in the wormhole.
This is worse than watching the episode. This is nothing makes this not confusing.
And then the Wildstorm comic, which is TNG era, like you said, called Embrace the Wolf. The crew of the D investigate a sudden outburst of violence on a Federation planet. Of course, we now know this is Space Jack the Ripper. Space Jack the Ripper jumps onto the Enterprise.
I thought he was in a wormhole.
Wormholes all go somewhere.
Right. He's maximum dispersed. There's probably like a billion Jack the Rippers now.
So wait. I actually like this idea. So he finds his way on the Enterprise D, and he finds his way in the holodeck, where of course he can become actual Jack the Ripper in Data's Sherlock Holmes holodeck program.
Yeah.
So that's what they do with that. And I think that's cool. I think that's
pretty clever.
A little bit clever. There is also mention of this episode in the novel The Sorrows of the Empire, where Mirror Universe Scott was likewise accused of brutally murdering 3 women. But then Captain Kirk...
But in the Mirror Universe, he's like, fuck yeah, I did it! I'll do it again, motherfuckers!
Captain Kirk ensured the charges were dropped without an investigation at all.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, we murder people all the time.
So they literally skipped over all of this bullshit.
They were like,
I do love that Spock's immediate response was, well, I would deal with it by just beaming you all back up here, because fuck them, I guess.
and Kirk is like, no, we can't do that. And Spock's like,
Can't we? See you in 30 minutes.
Jumping into some casting stuff, we see a server at the bar that's Marlis Burdett. I'm pretty sure that's one of the ones we see feeding the dude. It might be the one in the tights, because we also see her elsewhere in the original series. She's an Annabelle series android in iMud, and she's Krako's Gunmall in A Piece of the Action.
A Piece of the Action.
She's the one in yellow, if I remember correctly, from A Piece of the Action. That is Judy Chevron, who we see as a nurse. She does guest roles in Ozzie and Harriet, Beverly Hillbillies, I Dream of Jeannie. She later earns a PhD in clinical psychology and writes a bunch of books.
They're all about how if a woman does a crime to you, you then hate all women.
No, she becomes like a
crime, an accident, a workplace accident.
She becomes like a transformational executive business psychology coach.
Yeah. Business crimes.
The 80s.
That's Judith McConnell as Yeoman Tancris, who I believe is the one in red towards the end of the episode,
The one that
who
they're
laughs
like,
off getting her throat
Too
fucking cut
high to
open.
be afraid.
Absolutely.
You need to
Cut my throat, Daddy. Let's go.
She also does a 4-stint episode of Beverly
calling
Hillbillies.
the actor who plays Piglet Daddy.
We're getting there. We haven't gotten there yet. I have to explain why we've been calling it Piglet this whole fucking episode, because you
Because
didn't.
he's Piglet.
Yeah. If you watched 2 seconds of this episode, you can tell why we were calling him Piglet.
So this is Judy McConnell as Tancris. She's 4 episodes of Beverly Hillbillies, 6 of Green Acres, and then becomes a soap megastar with 86 episodes of Another World and then 1,028 episodes of Santa Barbara. It does some other cool sci-fi stuff like Alien Nation, a couple of episodes of Slider, and is Bad Witch number 2 on Passions, is in The Purge Anarchy.
Yes.
Yeah, Passions.
The best of all the soap operas.
Yes. I saw it pop up. I had to mention it. And then her last credits were 14 episodes of The Bay up until 2019. Soaps and weird sci-fi shit. I love it. That's Virginia Aldridge as Karen Tracy. This was her last on-screen credit. She starts as a dancer in the 50s.
Died.
Yeah, she got stabbed many times in the back. Before that, in the 50s, she was
Thinking about the actress.
a dancer on
Jesus.
Polka Parade.
It's not uncommon about people who have small parts on Star Trek.
No,
I feel
she
like
got-
I'm not
You
insignificant.
die in the Star Trek episode, you die in real life. It's like a dream.
She stars as a 15 dancer in Polka Parade and then is in the 1955 Guys and Dolls movie. Some guest roles on Westerns. I forget. I think she's just a dancer probably, because that's when she was
She's
in the
number
movie.
3.
Hot Box Girls.
Yeah. And then she comes back to the TV business in the 80s, but as a writer. Writes a bunch of TV, but does not act on screen again. That is Tanya Lamani as Kara, the dancer in the beginning. Iranian-born, classically trained in ballet, went to Vegas looking for more dancing work, but then became a belly dancing megastar. She starts getting TV and film offers because people go to see her shows in Vegas and are like, you know what? You should be on fucking TV. And one of the roles she got offered was a guest starring role in a failed William Shatner vehicle called Alexander the Great. By 1969, she'd appeared in 20 films and many TV shows, and then later produced her own workout video, Belly Size, with Tanya. She comes back to Trek for a guest appearance in a high-end fan movie, Star Trek of Gods and Men. And just a reminder, by high-end fan movie, we mean like a well-produced movie that also has Walter Conan, Nichelle Nichols, Grace Lee Whitney, Garrett Wang, and Alan Ruck. And Lawrence Montaigne, who returns as Stan. I've never seen this one. I'm going to go watch it. I'm going to go get my Stan on. That is Joseph Bernard as Tark. He's a Strasberg School acting teacher who later opened his own school in his own name, and a steady guest TV actor with small film roles from the 50s to the mid-90s, and had worked with Shatner previously when they both had smaller roles in the 61 Judgment and Nuremberg. I don't know. It's probably a kid's movie. That's Charles Deercup as Morla, the flat-nosed guy.
Yeah. The one that has the gusher face.
Yeah. He's known
Gusher
in
face is when you have a really tiny face but a really big head. Like you just ate a gusher.
He's known mostly in Hollywood for his prominent roles in The Sting and as flat-nosed Curry in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, because because of the nose.
Oh, I knew he looked familiar. Okay.
However, what I actually know him best from is he's the motherfucking serial killing Santa Claus in 1984's Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh.
So funny.
He plays a bunch of cops and cowboys up until the mid-'80s, and then after doing Silent Night, Deadly Night, his credits list becomes a menagerie of weird and cool sounding B-movie flicks. He's also in the music video for R.E.M's Man on the Moon.
Sure. Of course he is.
That is Pilar Surratt as Saibo. Philippines-born, moved to LA early on, started as a dancer, and then starts taking film roles in the late 50s. She became a sought-after guest TV actor because she was actually Asian, and they needed those people on TV so that white people didn't have to do it. Yeah. So we love that. But then she gets tired of that in 72 and just retires.
Good for her.
An interesting note on her son, Dean Devlin, is a prominent producer and writer who co-wrote the original Stargate movie as well as Independence Day.
Oh, shit.
He's currently showrunner on a show called The Ark, which also stars Lisa Brenner, who is Pilar's daughter-in-law from her second marriage.
Interesting.
Huh.
That's Charles Macaulay as Jarrus, who we will see again in Return of the Archons. He plays lots of judges and doctors, include getting owned by Perry Mason a bunch as several TA characters. Has a 35-episode run on Days of Our Lives as Dr. Elliot Kincaid and Elliot Kincaid #2.
Oh.
Also to
Evil.
bookend a previous entry, he plays Dracula opposite Daystrom himself, William Blackburn, in the original Blackula movie. So he could totally play a Dracula.
Yeah, he's got a Dracula vibe.
Definitely. And then, of course, yes, that is John Fielder as Heingeist. After performing in World War II, he was the original voice of Piglet on Winnie the Pooh, who voiced the character in everything from his first Disney appearance in the 1968 short Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day to all of the TV shows, made-for-TV movies, and even the Kingdom Hearts video games up until his death in 2005. Dude was just Piglet. In his live-action world, he had a bunch of early TV guest roles, including a frequent guest star on Bewitched, often as a client of whatever Darren was on the show at the time.
Whatever the fuck it was he did.
Yeah. Was Gordy Spangler
Was male.
on the original Kolchak the Night Stalker, Mr. Peterson on the Bob Newhart Show, Twilight Jones, Tales from the Dark Side. And all through this, he cites this as one of his favorite roles he ever got to play.
Jack the Ripper in space.
Yeah.
He goes, Piglet, Jack the Ripper.
Well, he says, like, when they hear my voice, his quote is, "Gosh, I thought it was you. Then I heard your voice and I knew." So nine times out of 10, they don't know my name. But like when they hear him talk, it's Piglet. But what he gets asked about most, of course, is from Star Trek fans.
Yeah. Do you remember when you were Jack the Ripper?
Do you remember when you were Space Jack the Ripper? Okay, moving on to the X-Files. This is written by Vince Gilligan, which, of course, you mentioned. Hey, great job. The Memory Vampire.
Hey, good job.
Good job, Vince. The Memory Vampire was a concept he wanted to play with earlier, but it was Frank Spotnitz's idea to have it centered on Doggett in Mexico. So good job, Frank, too.
Thanks, Frank.
That's Michelle McLaren, who directed this, which you talked about. She was co-executive producer on 46 X-Files episodes from 2000 to 2002. She joined the show after she was co-executive producer on the failed Harsh Realms, which was that other Chris Carter show. Mm-hmm. She goes on to produce Breaking Bad and Shining Girls, while also directing a wide variety of shows, including SVU, Camelot, Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Westworld, and most recently Better Call Saul. So she does okay. Yeah. Coming up, it looks like she's directing an adaptation of the comic book Cowboy Ninja Viking, which will star Priyanka Chopra Jonas and Chris Pratt. Moving on.
This fucking guy.
DP Bill Rowe, who Erin mentioned
Chris.
earlier, took a lot of inspiration from the movie Traffic from this, in just that contrast of dark inside, light outside. The town here is actually Pomona, which is right outside of LA, with just like a map background and blue sky added and some digital effects posters on the streets. Mm-hmm. 4 days after this episode was first broadcast was when Chris Carter announced that the X-Files would be ending at the end of the 9th season. Bitch, you thought. I forget if we mentioned it, but we were talking about the season 9 credits earlier, and there's a piece of paper that flies by the screen that says FBI contacts, witnesses, and contributors. And of course, those are a list of screen names from the X-Files forums. You see one that says like Kitsunagari and then like a bunch of numbers and stuff like that. And then the others were from a fan contest. Moving on to some casting. This gets crazy. Okay. Alfred D. Contreras as a bartender also has credits on Bowfinger and Yes Man, among others. That's Lucy Rodriguez as the operator in the phone place. She has credits in Species, Charmed, 94 episodes of Sunset Beach as an uncredited character named Rose. I don't know
94?
94 as an uncredited character named Rose.
Possible.
I think she's
Rose in the
probably like a
background,
background actor or something like that in the show, I guess. And she has 13 episodes of ER as a nurse named Björk, among other roles. That's Charlie Hartsock as the lawyer that does not want you to speak Spanish anymore. He was a performer and director here in Chicago at Second City in the 80s before moving to LA, and guest TV and film credits include Freaks and Geeks, Spin City. He was the speed dating MC in the 40-year-old version, Ted on 7 episodes of Arrested Development, and various roles in 20 episodes of According to Jim. He was classmates with Steve Carell while in Second City and also at Denison University. So in 2008, he began running Carell's production company, Carousel Productions, which is why he shows up in a bunch of those movies. That is Louis Robledo as, well, he's the guy who steals Doggett shoes, but he's credited as crackhead.
Yikes.
Not great.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. That is what he's listed as in the show. That's what they probably refer to the character in the script. But he is a shoe thief. Who later see use crack pipe. He is a person that suffers from a drug addiction. Anyways, some acting credits include 6 Feet Under, American Family, and voice work on both the Red Dead Redemption and GTA 5 video games. But the majority of his credits are producing, directing, and writing short films and documentary, including some controversial ones exploring connections between spirituality and psychedelic drugs. One's called The Reality of Truth that pissed a lot of religious people off because I think it boils down to like, you thought you were seeing God. You were just really high.
It happens.
That is Bo Kane. Oh my fucking God.
So casual.
That's Bo Kane, who we briefly see as the Marine Sergeant McCormick. He's a University of Notre Dame business grad who then moved to Chicago and also studied at Second City, and then got hired as a precision driver for the Blues Brothers movie, which you remember the Blues Brothers movie. That's fucking insane, the car stunts that they do in that movie. There's
rules.
really like cars on top of cars in that. Precision driving's fucking
still
hard.
one of like the biggest like car crash scenes in a movie, I'm pretty sure.
Because nobody wanted to do that physically anymore as soon as we didn't have to.
It was because it was like 20 plus cars that they used in that too. That's wild.
Right.
Good. Yeah, I guess you would need a shitload of precision drivers for that. Wild.
He has a bunch of small TV guest roles. He was in Child's Play. He was on Jag. He was Sonny Sykes on Dexter and a coach in a Workaholics episode. And then he's also an equestrian coach for the California Special Olympics, and also is a newspaper columnist and news anchor, and wrote books called Acting Monologues and Scenes for Kids and Acting Scenes and Monologues for Young Teens. So, like, what a resume.
A hustle guy.
Someone has to write those scenes that are ambiguous that you do over and over again.
Right.
Hello.
Hi.
How have you been? Don't you know?
I'm sad. That is both Jacob and Zachary Handy as Luke Doggett, the jumping on the bed, fucking shoes, bike riding.
Take your shoes
little
off,
dead
kid.
boy.
In his clothes at 5:30 in the morning.
Let's go ride bikes.
Get that twin money. They both have credits in Krippendor's Tribe, Denial, and were dually Duddy in Baby Geniuses, but only Jacob has a credit 10 years later in a 2012 TV series. Pretty darn funny.
I'm gonna try it just for me. No, this sucks. I'm out.
Sleeping next to Dream Memory Doggett is Barbara Doggett, who is played by Barbara Patrick, real life wife.
Yay!
They've been married since 1990. We also see her in the episode Release. Before this, she has her own acting credits in Behind Enemy Lines, The Wizard of Speed and Time, Lord of Illusions, Chicago Hope, and The Division. Yeah.
The Wizard of Speed and Time.
Yeah. That's F.J. Rio, who we see as a second officer. This one is interesting. He has roles as Alex Diaz on 90210, Carl on Boston Public, Augusto in Prison Break, 14 episodes as Cruz Pizzula on The Shield, and more guest roles But more interesting than that, he's done a lot of newer Trek shows. He shows up on 3 DS9 episodes in season 4 and 5, where he's playing Muniz, who is the first Spanish-speaking Trek character.
Cool.
He's in the season 7 episode of Voyager, Repentance, as Joleg, and is a Vizian chief engineer in the Enterprise episode Cogenitor. Seems like he stopped acting around 2012, but I hope he's doing well. Eduardo Antonio Garcia, who we see as Mariano Molina, has a few on-screen credits on shows like S.H.I.E.L.D., 24, Weeds, Chuck, The Office, but the bulk of his career is doing a massive amount of commercial voiceover spots in and around LA, which he has over 1,500 of since he's been doing it in 1998. So, like, he's just the interesting buy this car guy. Very cool. He also has crowd voiceover credits in GTA 5 and another credit for the World of Warcraft expansion, Mists of Pandaria, where you get to play as a panda. Anyways.
Is that real or are you just making a joke?
No, that was all real.
Oh, okay. I can never tell.
That's Rene Rivera, who we see as the first officer. His profile was written by, I would assume, him, and it's like this long, sweeping autobiography of his parents being immigrant field workers in Mexico and his large family, and then he gets the acting bug, and he's cast in this Broadway production of Salome by Oscar Wilde, where Al Pacino played Herod, and then they do a movie, and he's in this movie with Al Pacino, and he has all of these other roles. He has another solo show called King of the Desert, which was also filmed, and played Richard III in a bunch of off-Broadway productions. This is like the taller, lengthier one who we see also talk to Reyes. And on TV and film, he's had roles on Miami Vice, Law and Order, Carlito's Way, Nash Bridges, NYPD Blue, Monk, Lords of Dogtown. It was just, this starts like a trend of a lot of these Latin actors after this all having these like really interesting self-written biographies, but also these really interesting theater careers. That's Zito Kazan as a caballero. When Osiris Born, best known for roles in Waterworld and Robin Hood Men in Tights. Here's an excerpt from him. After studying on scholarship with Stanford Miser at the Neighborhood Playhouse, in addition to Uta Hagen and Stella Adler, Zito found his home was theater. Fuck.
Wow.
Like his guest TV roles. Yeah. His guest TV roles
I just
include
studied with all of the greats. I think maybe I like theater a little bit. Well, fuck you too.
like 80 plus credits just on film, with roles on Days of Our Lives, The Fall Guy, Helltown, Melrose Place, and more. That's Ramon Franco as Nestor. Here's an excerpt from him.
Nestor rules.
Yeah. Worked with the Puerto Rico Traveling Theater in the critically lauded production of San Ocho at Joseph Pop's Public Theater in New York. Led to his first screen appearance in 1979's Boardwalk, in which, at age 14, Ramon played opposite the legendary Lee Strasberg. At 14.
This episode, what is this?
Most recently, he's a theater manager played a theater manager in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, has over 70 credits, including return roles on Guiding Light, 58 episodes of Tour on Duty, Murder, She Wrote, Melrose Place, 7 episodes of Weeds as Susio, and co-starring versus Clint Eastwood in Heartbreak Ridge. And that brings me to Frank Roman as Domingo Salmeron. Excerpt from his. He has starred in such stage hits as the famous musical The Fantastics and Neil Simon's comedy California Suite.
What?
When Frank made the move to Los Angeles, he was quickly discovered by Mel Brooks, who starred him in his comedy Life Stinks. Also does Quantum Leap, 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag, In-Laws, NYPD Blue, 2 episodes of SG-1 and Envy. So all of these actors that you see are like super hardcore serious stage actors, and they just got them together for this episode.
Why? Why did they do that?
I don't know, but it's like a great episode of television, and Robert Patrick's breakdown when he remembers his dead son is like fantastic acting that reminds you that like this guy that takes these big broad parts in his T-1000 and John Cena's racist dad in The Peacemaker's like, no, that guy's a fucking actor. I don't know.
So weird. I wonder if part of it is that is part of why it doesn't feel as much like an X-Files episode, because it is actually a bunch of like powerhouse actors.
Yeah.
Like
And then
everyone takes
Monica.
it super seriously. Yeah. And then the stuff that feels the most X-Files is Monica fucking Reyes and the memory vampire.
And they need to give Dana Scully 5 lines in the episode so that the fans don't flip out that Scully's gone now too.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
all season 9 is. It's just this delicate balance of, is there enough Scully in this episode or will they fucking riot? They don't nail it a lot of times.
Anyways, get in the bus. Daddy's home. Bye.
All right, and now time for our overall thoughts.
Okie dokie.
You failed, you son of a bitch. I remember everything.
Agent Doggett. Leave him to us.
These episodes tied to theme because we had characters who were like, oh my God, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
What happened? I don't think it was good.
Ooh. I mean, at the end of the Star Trek episode, Scotty's like, super high on drugs, being like, I thought maybe I did it. I don't know.
Yeah, I like how both of the people in this were like, maybe I'm a piece of shit. I don't have any memory of that, but maybe
I don't have
am.
anything to prove it otherwise. You said the most Star Trek moment of this was Bones just being like, stimulants.
Yeah.
I guess the most X-Files moment of this, it is not a very, like, you know, I feel like usually my answer is like, oh, Mulder does something fucking dumb. I guess Scully and Skinner being told not to do something and then being like, and then just immediately doing whatever the fuck they want.
Yes. I feel like it's probably Skinner rolling up with the Mexican feds after being explicitly told not to go to Mexico.
Yeah, he was like,
Mulder's not around anymore, so I do the crazy shit.
do what I want. Are you shipping anybody in this episode?
I mean, Kirk and Spock being sort of scared in an elevator was like fine, but wasn't like terribly sexy.
But Kirk is with his hand on his hips behind Spock, who's got his arms crossed, and then both looking at Jack the Ripper, being like,
Yeah, but
that was some couple energy.
Yeah, they had couple energy, but I didn't want them to like kiss or anything in that moment.
Yeah.
I just liked that they both were like, ugh, the only competent people around again. Like I did like that. I don't know.
That's fair. It's not like
I liked
fun and sexy episode.
I liked the McSpurk energy, but I wasn't like, yeah, I want them all to go back and bang or whatever. It was just like, well, guess we're not going to the
Feels
strip
very
club. Good night.
established relationship.
Yes, exactly.
No.
Not even Skinner and Scully?
No, they barely did anything together.
That has never, ever stopped you from shipping the two of them before. What do you mean? They sat very close together and calculated to rescue a man from Mexico.
Fine. Do I always want them to kiss? Yes, so sure. Mulder out there, they gotta fill their time doing something. I guess it's each other. That's honestly how a lot of the fics go. They're just like,
they gotta spend their time doing something. It might as well be each other. You degenerate.
is this episode of Fuck, Fine, or Flop?
Flop, but I mean that in sort of a positive way, I guess.
Positive flop.
Positive flop.
It's a flop, but it's not like necessarily a skippable episode, like an unwatchable episode.
Yeah.
I would say that this one is like a fuck or a fuck minus. Like it's a pretty good episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The bus scene is great. Yeah. Like Doggett is very good in it.
They set
Skinner rolls up.
Right. They set up why Doggett was down there. Like it is established in this town that everybody's like corrupt. Like it like makes for the X-Files quite a bit of sense. So
yeah, even with the surprise memory vampire at the end, it's like, that's all right. Well, it's the X-Files. What was I really going to get? Yeah, exactly. Fine, I guess. At least you explained it or whatever.
Yeah.
Could have been a lot worse.
Yep, that's it. That's all I got.
That's that, I guess.
That's the episode.
Well,
I'm shipping bones and drugs. Erin, where can you find us?
You can find us on the internet. You can find me at NYD Urgency on Instagram.
You can find me on Twitter at Stella_Cheeks.
You can find me on Steam at ScienceDog83.
You can also email us at xtrexpod@gmail.com with questions or comics. Do you want to fic where McCoy and Kirk are sexy? Is this a different one? This is definitely different.
No, talk about the fic where Mulder
I'm
and
going
Skinner
to, but why
forget.
is that? Oh, because there's
You
serial
copied it
killers
over.
in this.
Jack the
Okay.
Ripper.
Jack the Ripper. Do you want a fic where McCoy and Kirk are sexy serial killers? Look, I'm pretty deranged. I have links. Hannibal did a number on my brain. It has leaked into everything else. But I also have a lot of memory loss and amnesia fics for Star Trek because bitches love amnesia tropes. But also I have this pretty incredible link to a fic where it starts where Mulder and Skinner are just show up randomly and they're both like, fuck, I don't know who the fuck I am. Do you know who the fuck you are? No. And then it's like them just trying to figure it out. And then Mulder's like, we're probably a couple, right? We should fuck. And Skinner's like, I guess. And then they fuck. And then they wake up the next day with their memories. And Skinner is very mad at Mulder. Not because he had sex with a man, because he's fucking mad at Mulder. He's like, look, I can have gay sex. I'm not judging this. But with you, I cannot believe you talked to me and having sex with you. Do not talk to me for the rest of the way home. And it's very funny.
Well, I want that. And if you want that too, and also want access to the fucking insane watch along notes for this episode, I cannot stress enough. Please read through those. Also, access to our company Discord, where we stream us recording episodes, post links, have discussions, have book clubs, all of that, and access to cut material from episodes, extra podcasts like unofficial channels, and more. You could go to our Patreon at patreon.com/NYDProduction, slip us $1 under the digital table or more.
Or more.
And check out everything we have going on there.
And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and to tell your friends. We find that this nerdy shit is better when it's shared.
We'll see you next episode for Enemies Working Together. In the meantime,
Believe boldly.
Seek truth.
ship promptly.
X-Trex is created and written by Stella Cheeks, Erin Cline, and Bobby Hoffman, and produced by Bobby Hoffman for NYD Productions. Our show theme is Alien Spy by Ionix, and our show art was made by Jonathan Curtis.